This is the story of Mac Dre.
Oakland, California, man. Welcome to the Bay.
Man, I'm many people and they all want to get paid.
Mac Dre was a Bay Area legend who helped put the Hyphe movement on the map.
I'm the skinny with the fat gat, make his backpack, black, go to the crack sack, cause on that track, with this ass, we cash, we fast, I'ma tap that, Mac that, I'm replacing one more time.
But before he could achieve the widespread recognition he deserved, he was tragically murdered. The case is still unsolved today. We're breaking down the details of his rise to fame, his tragic death, and the wild aftermath.
Well, Mac Dre went out like a martyr, you know what I mean? He was like, he's the guy. So you got Too Short and E40. Everybody's gonna say, man, they the ones that set it off. And then you got Mac Dre and Keek the Sneak. And they came along and they just, you know, took all the youngsters and just whipped them in a frenzy and the hyphy movement. And you know, when Mac Dre got killed, it was like Martin Luther King in the Bay.
It was the early morning of November 1st, 2004. Bay Area rapper Mac Dre was in Kansas City, Missouri. He had been booked for shows and events over the Halloween weekend.
Man, every weekend it's a sideshow somewhere. Every time every club, every event, somebody gonna start a sideshow. They gonna close the freeway down at the entrance, and start the sideshow on the freeway.
The whole trip was weird. A nigga already done handed me a gun when I get there. And I'm like, oh, Cuddy, this how we rocking? Yeah, like we moving through Kansas City like that. Me and Doobie on some other shit. Like, man, Kansas City changed. Let me know what kind of party we at so I know how to dress. Right. We not leaving. We gotta come with the body, so we here.
Around 2:30 a.m., Mac Dre was traveling northbound on Highway 71 in a white van, being driven back to his hotel. Suddenly, a dark sedan pulled up alongside the driver's side of the van. Shots began to rain down. Upwards of 30 bullets were fired from two separate guns, an automatic rifle and a .45 pistol. The sedan also rammed the van, running it off the road, causing it to crash into a ditch. The driver managed to crawl from the wreckage and ran to the hotel for help. But by the time help arrived, Mac Dre was already gone. He was found motionless and pronounced dead on the scene from a bullet wound to the back of the neck. The black vehicle used in the homicide was found later with shell casings matching those at the scene. Holes from inside the door indicated the shooter fired from inside the vehicle. White paint along the passenger side of the door confirmed it had collided with the white van in the attack. The car had been stolen from a garage in Belton, Missouri, a few months prior. Mac Dre's passing shocked the entire world and shook the Bay Area. To them, he was a legend gone far too soon. Everyone wanted to know who was responsible. Almost immediately, one name began circulating all over the Bay Area: Fat Tone. Anthony Watkins, also known as Fat Tone, was a Kansas City rapper who had collaborated with Mac Dre and even linked up with him the weekend he was killed.
His name was one of the first names that came up. He was at the show. Fat Tone was a gangster from the city. And then Fat Tone, when they was saying his name, like they said, he didn't dispel the rumors.
Rumors spread that Fat Tone and Mac Dre had gotten into an argument over stage time. The allegations of his involvement escalated with a rumor that Fat Tone released a song dissing Mac Dre and hinting at being responsible.
I mean, it go to this right here. Every young nigga I know done got knocked off in Kansas City. So many murderers, nigga. I name it Killer City, where the shit go down. I mean, all my niggas is gone. This is where I'm from. Yeah. I'm from the city of dope, the city of killers, max, pimps, hustlers and dealers.
Police received dozens of tips about a possible altercation and investigated Fat Tone. However, Kansas City police would go ahead and investigate him, but found zero evidence or suspicion that Fat Tone was involved in any way. Fat Tone denied the rumors and even came out and said that he and Mac Dre were friends, and there was no issue between them at all. Despite this, the Bay Area was not buying it.
You know what I'm saying? Nigga got a damn near dime in this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Nigga repping the soil at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Trying to put it down. See, I'm a straight street nigga. I come from the gutter. You know what I'm saying? So all my shit be straight real. I mean, everything I'm saying is real from the soil, from the roots up. You know what I'm saying? No fake ass shit. Niggas is really doing this shit up here. All this shit crack, nigga. 24/7. Drive-bys, gang banging shit, all this shit, nigga. It's the soil. Killer City, nigga. I'm repping to death, nigga. I'm still in the hood, nigga. That's how gangsta I am. You know what I'm saying? Nigga in the hood in the beach. You know what I'm talking about? It's real.
Selling houses.
You know what I'm talking about? Set them up, dumping them, nigga.
We got enemies buying CD.
All that shit. Like you said, we squashing the funk, though. Me and my niggas are squashing the funk. It ain't no playing. It ain't none of that. It's real. It's real life, nigga. It ain't no just rapping, nigga. We been through this shit. Nigga curve serving and doing it big. Back when my nigga Boom was down there hustling. 24/7 in the jet. Parking, you know what I'm saying? All through that motherfucker. It's real, cuz we repping the soil, nigga. KC, nigga.
But if it wasn't Fat Tone, who killed Mac Dre? And what led a Vallejo kid known for his catchy rhymes to meet such a violent end hundreds of miles from home?
I had never been to Kansas City a day in my life. The day Dre died was my first time going there. I pulled up. My homeboys, Mac Maul and them was all still there. Mac Maul, Keek, and everybody was still there. Yuck Mouth still there. Miami the Mo's, Doobie, they was all still there. So I had to go there and start getting information. Like, what happened? Where was y'all at? Where was so-and-so? What was this? Who threw the show? I had to get I found out everything the next day. And then I ended up staying out there and start making friends out there and start becoming a part of the fixture in Kansas City, trying to figure out what would happen to my friend in Kansas City. You feel me? And at the same time, I had to remember that Kansas City didn't do this to Dre. Certain individuals done this to Dre.
To understand what happened that night, we need to go back to the beginning. Andre Lewis Hicks was born in Oakland in 1970. Early in his childhood, his family moved about 30 minutes north to Vallejo, California. He spent his childhood years in the Country Club Crest neighborhood in North Vallejo. Visually speaking, this area looked like any middle-class suburb, and crime statistics didn't necessarily classify it as a significantly bad area. However, a combination of poverty and lack of resources added a certain level of street activity to the neighborhood. Mac Dre always had two main interests, music, and he was known to have a cold mouthpiece, from which his nickname, Mac Dre, originated. He officially began rapping at 14 years old, performing for his classmates at Hogan High School. Interestingly, another student big into music at Hogan High School was Earl Stevens, who would later be known as E40.
Hi, you folks. Look at here. It is I, says me. Your Northern California, West Coast, start stopping school type delivery, spitting tycoon talking partner, E-motherfucking 40 OZ.
While E40 and Brant Jones were developing their music career, selling tapes out of their trunk.
When we think of the West Coast, we usually think of the Snoop Dogg's, Dr. Dre, and all of them. Now
it's more than the West than that.
Well, now we know this.
Yeah.
So
Mac Dre was also building his own buzz in the city.
Where we come from, players flip tight buckets, get tremendous, beat fresh meats, and say the B-A-Y-A-R-E-A. Where players smoke dank and drink all day. We use words like Skrilla, Scratch and Fetty, give hoes pimp names like Blowjob Betty. No homies and lokes, just partners and folks. No lifts and switches, just dips and yokes. We swing them and sting them and burn rubber sideways. Zap on the lap when we hit the highways on Friday. Hey, we got to take over, man, because we got...
Mac Dre connected with Michael the Mac Robinson, an early pioneer who became his mentor and inspired him to adopt his rap persona, Mac Dre. The Mac came from the idea of a player, and Dre from his first name, Andre. Just shy of 18, in 1989, Mac Dre recorded and released a cassette tape called Young Black Brother. He quickly gained local attention with his song Too Hard for the Radio.
They call me Mac Dre and I'm keeping the name.
The song caught fire in the streets, became a big song in the Bay Area, and established him as an underground sensation. He would say, "You don't understand, my people know who I am." While Mac Dre was rising in music, the friends he made in the Crest became known as the Romper Room crew or gang. This was a tight-knit group where friends were considered more than just friends. They were like relatives.
Who does the Romper Room consist of?
From way back, how it started is we was young on the block, you know what I'm saying? Used to play a lot, smoke weed, and the older cats used to call us the Romper Room. Young niggas playing a lot with the whoop, and the name just stuck, you know what I'm saying? And then shit started happening, bank robberies and shit, and the police really stuck the name to us, and it became the Romper Room gang, you feel me?
The hustle of the streets offered an appealing lifestyle, with the group hanging out, allegedly selling dope, hustling, drinking, and partying. The Romper Room gang was known for knocking off pizza parlors, often at gunpoint.
So what happened is people started robbing everything, like dumb stuff. Like I didn't rob dumb stuff. Like my homie even used to tell me, like, what you gonna rob less than a bank?
And eventually graduated to robbing banks.
Because now everybody is trying to get a piece of the cake of the robbery. And we robbing a certain style, a certain way. But now everybody know this certain style and certain way. It's like a serial killer who might stab you and leave a cross and know where to cut you at the right place. And I show you how to do that too. So now you got 30 serial killers doing the same thing. Whoever get caught first, getting charged with all of that.
It's been debated whether the money used to finance their rap careers was entirely legal, with sources suggesting they were using the robberies for this purpose. Mac Dre's association with the Romper Room and his references to them in his songs, combined with his growing fame, led law enforcement to suspect him.
Romper Room crew for life, yeah.
Police beefed up surveillance in the Crest, coming down hard on crew members, and took a special interest in Dre.
Now they watching everybody who's supposed to be in the romp, but they thinking that everybody in the Crest, the neighborhood, is the romp. No, it's only 14 of us. Them robberies yesterday, you saying we did, we wasn't even out here. Somebody else, a copycat robbery. You feel me? But we getting the heat for it.
The Vallejo Police Department teamed up with the FBI, forming the Vallejo Violent Suppression Task Force, which dedicated significant resources to pursuing Romper Room members.
So, you feel me? Now we hot. So now they, even if you watch the episode American Gangster, the police even tell you. But I was telling my homies back then, like, nigga, they own us, nigga. Like, I'm in the store one time and two officers come in, plain clothes. You feel me? And say, hey, Coolio, how's your day going? Police, nigga.
In March 1992, while Mac Dre's reputation was spreading beyond the Bay Area, he traveled to Fresno with his friends and Romper Room members Jay Diggs and Kilo Kurt. They had a show there, and Mac Dre also wanted to see a woman he had met. Unbeknownst to them, the FBI was already tracking the Romper Room gang. A fourth man with them on the trip was a car thief named Corey Dunn. Corey Dunn had been flipped by the FBI and was wearing a wire during the trip. While Mac Dre was allegedly at a motel with his friend, Jay Diggs and Kilo Kurt were planning a bank robbery. The police intended to catch them in the act, but the local media heard about the planned operation over the police scanner and showed up prematurely at the bank, tipping off Kilo Kurt and Jay Diggs. The robbery was aborted. On their way back to Vallejo, Mac Dre, Jay Diggs, and Kilo Kurt were pulled over and surrounded by officers from both the Vallejo Police Department and the FBI. Mac Dre, who claimed he was completely innocent and was in the motel room the entire time, was arrested with them. Because he refused to snitch on his homies, he ended up getting charged with conspiracy to commit bank robbery. Despite believing he was innocent, he refused to take a plea deal and took the case to trial. During the trial, authorities used everything they had against him, including his controversial song lyrics, twisting them to suggest he intended to rob more banks.
Why is the police steady knocking at my door? 24/7, the devils be tripping. They say some banks was robbed and I fit the description, but that's drama. So save it for your mom.
For example, they reportedly used lyrics like, "I'ma laugh in your face, kick back and feel the bass," to argue he meant kick back and feel the banks. He was found guilty by a jury and sentenced to 5 years in Lompoc Federal Penitentiary. Jay Diggs and Kilo Kurt received longer sentences, 10 years, for being the alleged masterminds. Some fans felt Mac was unfairly targeted because he was a popular rapper who spoke out against police brutality. Years later, in 2010, Corey Dunn, the informant, was found deceased with multiple bullet wounds. It's unclear if his death was related to snitching, but it certainly could have put a target on his back. Jay Diggs would later label Dunn a rat. Prison changed Mac Dre, giving him a new perspective. When he got out, he didn't just go back to rapping. He created a whole new sound, a whole movement. But would this new wave of success also bring unexpected dangers? Those years behind bars, they changed Mac Dre, giving him a new perspective on life. When he was released in 1996, after serving 4 years of his sentence, he immediately dove back into music. He reportedly hit the studio the very day he got out and finished a new album within weeks. He didn't just go back to rapping, he switched up his style. His delivery became more upbeat, almost like dance music. He also brought a new energy to his performances, introducing wild dance moves. This new sound and style were foundational to what would later explode as the Hyphe movement in the Bay Area.
Young Jew right there, you feel me? Got it out here, you know what I'm saying? It's a whale out here, you feel me? Why? You know what I'm saying? My old clothing line, K1, man, holla at me, man, you know what I mean? You feel me? Mac Dre, man, all damn day, man. You know what I'm saying? Kipper Street, man.
Mac Dre embraced his independence, founding his own record label, initially called Romper Records, later renamed Thiz Entertainment. He was incredibly productive, releasing numerous albums and working on others' projects, sharing his vision to help talented artists. He wasn't just focusing on the local scene. This was a business for him now, and he understood the value of live shows to build fans in new markets. One market that particularly embraced Mac Dre was Kansas City, Missouri. Word spread about his fan base there, and he started booking shows and connecting with local artists. He first traveled there in 1999 and found the reception incredible, feeling treated presidential, and even hearing he was considered bigger than artists like P. Diddy there. He started going back more and more, building relationships to the point where Kansas City became almost like his second home. By 2004, Mac Dre was a Bay Area hip-hop pioneer, an underground icon, and had cultivated a loyal fan base far from home, especially in Kansas City. This connection would lead him back to the city in late October 2004. But this time, the trip to his second home would end not with roaring crowds and dizzle dances, but with violence on a dark highway. He arrived in Kansas City ready for the weekend. It was Halloween weekend 2004, and Mac Dre was booked for a few shows at the Kansas City National Guard Armory. He was set to perform alongside other Bay Area artists like Yuckmouth and Keek da Sneak. The promoter, Damon Whitmill, had agreed to pay Mac Dre around $12,500 for 2 events. Mac Dre and his entourage arrived in the city on October 27th. He was scheduled for promotional appearances, including a radio show and a record signing at a local bookstore. According to the promoter, Damon, Mac Dre showed up with a large crew, over 20 people, and was often late for his obligations, which caused issues and disappointment. The first big show was on Friday, October 29th. The promoter claimed Mac Dre was late again, resulting in extra costs to keep the venue open longer. The situation reportedly got worse when Mac Dre's large entourage, over 20 people, rushed the stage, causing fans to follow suit. This crowd surge led to the music being cut off multiple times for security reasons until the show was eventually shut down. Other artists like Keek da Sneak and Yuckmouth felt a negative vibe and tension at the show. They decided to leave Kansas City after performing and arranging for their payment to be wired later. Despite this, Mac Dre stayed to fulfill his commitments for the weekend. Regardless of the details of the argument, Mac Dre left the venue in a white van to return to his hotel. According to one source, who picked up Mac Dre earlier, Mac Dre mentioned not feeling safe due to the disorganization of the events. Around 2:30 a.m. on the early morning of November 1st, 2004, the white van was traveling northbound on Highway 71. Suddenly, a dark sedan pulled up alongside the driver's side. Upwards of 30 shots were fired from 2 different guns, an automatic rifle and a .45 caliber pistol. The sedan also rammed the driver's side of the van, causing it to lose control and crash into a ditch. The driver of the van managed to crawl from the wreckage and ran to a nearby hotel to call for help. By the time police and first responders arrived at the scene, it was around 3:30 a.m., an hour after the incident. Mac Dre was found motionless. It was immediately obvious that he did not die from the crash. He was pronounced dead at the scene from a bullet wound to the back of his neck. Mac Dre's death sent shockwaves through the Bay Area and the hip-hop community. Everyone was desperate to know who was responsible. With their legend gone, the Bay Area wanted answers. The investigation would uncover suspects, informants, and theories, but would justice ever truly be served? Almost immediately, rumors began circulating, pointing fingers at Kansas City rapper Anthony Fat Tone Watkins. While police did investigate Fat Tone due to these rumors, they found zero evidence tying him to Mac Dre's murder. Fat Tone himself denied any involvement. Tragically, just a few months later, Fat Tone was murdered in Las Vegas.
Some on the street are wondering, is it revenge for the murder of a West Coast rapper here? Good evening, everyone. That murder last fall in Kansas City is still unsolved.
Now, a Kansas City rapper named Fat Tone is killed in Las Vegas. Peggy Bright is live at Kansas City Police Headquarters with the story. Peggy?
Kelly, police here knew him as Anthony Watkins. But in the world of hip-hop, he was known as Fat Tone, a 24-year-old rapper who, for sometimes reasons that he did not want, made a name for himself both locally and nationally. But after the murder of Mac Dre, Fat Tone's name began circulating in hip-hop magazines and websites as a possible suspect. Kansas City police followed the sites, but never considered Watkins more than a person of interest. Now Fat Tone is murdered while visiting Vegas. The two murders, months apart, have similarities.
Mac Dre was found in a car, shot to death. The car wrecked, went off the highway, and essentially the same thing happened to Fat Tone.
Activist Alonzo Washington wrote commentaries for hip-hop magazines after Dre's murder. He was concerned that the rumors would generate more violence, and now it has.
When you have an equation of violent music, people with a violent background, and rumors, it can ultimately add up to a real-life homicide, and that's something that we all should try to prevent.
Now, Fat Tone was shot in Kansas City a year and a half ago when he was leaving an interview at a local radio station. He survived that. Las Vegas police are still looking into the motive for this shooting. Another man was killed as well. We're live at police headquarters. Back to you.
Andre McMinister Dow and Jason Mathis were later convicted of his murder. The motive was believed by some to be retaliation for Mac Dre's death, fueled by the persistent rumors, even though Mac Dre's own friends stated Fat Tone was innocent.
Murder. He actually called me when he was still in Las Vegas on his way out. He was gathering some stuff so that he can go. He called me and told me that he had to leave. He couldn't talk, he had to leave. And I'm like, where do you have to go? And he's like, I'm coming out to the Bay Area. I'm finna get me an apartment and stuff out there, and I need to leave out here real fast. And I'm like, well, what's going on, Jason? And by the way that he was talking, I can tell that it was something that he had done. So I'm like, he asked me, can he come to my house? Then he wanted to spend time with his son. Can he come to my house and try to get more acquainted with little Jake, seeing that he was in some trouble out in Las Vegas. And I told him no, because I didn't know what was going on. And then we had spoke a little, a longer, probably like an hour and 2 hours in code. He was trying to tell me what was going on and what he had done, but he wasn't trying to get into details of what had exactly happened.
Tell me how he was talking to you in code. What was he saying?
Okay, he was like, yeah, it was a concert out here tonight, and you heard what happened to them niggas that did that to Mac Dre. I'm like, who are you talking about? And he like, yeah, we can't speak on what happened. I mean, who they are or whatever. We can't speak on their names or whatever. We can talk more in person when I get to the Bay Area.
Before lies without the possibility of parole.
Dow was convicted in 2008 for a double murder in Las Vegas in 2005. The victims, Kansas City rappers Anthony Watkins, known as Fat Tone, and Jermaine Atkins, known as Cowboy.
I don't know who killed Fat Tone.
How did they end up murdered in your girlfriend's car?
I don't have no answer for that.
I just want to make a record. He testified against my client in trial. I know.
As attorney Robert DeMarco argues for Dow's freedom, the 8 News Now investigators have been following closely. One major development, this witness who testified against Dow now says he lied.
It's been under conscience and you deeply regret making the false testimony and statements against Mr. Dow, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Lateef Gray, please.
A former San Francisco prosecutor who knew Dow growing up heard him proclaiming his innocence on a podcast and decided to look into the case. Do you believe he's 100% innocent?
I do. Based on this evidence, I do.
Lateef Gray says he uncovered information about witness Antoine Mouton, a convicted pimp with a lengthy criminal history. Records show when he claims he was in Las Vegas and Dow made incriminating statements to him, he was actually in custody in Georgia. So you believe that the police and the prosecutors had all of this information and hid it? Or what are you saying?
They definitely had it.
Sometime prior to that December 5th.
Clark County Chief Deputy District Attorney Mark DiGiacomo mentioned a date during Dow's murder trial in reference to that supposed conversation between Dow and Mouton in Las Vegas. But again, Mouton was locked up in Georgia. DiGiacomo now on the stand himself admitting to what he calls a mistake.
You said December 5th in the deposition, correct?
And I should have said December 05.
Still, he continues to defend the murder conviction.
I have the phone records and the 911 call establishing the timeline.
In 2004, Bay Area rapper Mac Dre was killed in Kansas City. There were rumors, which police said were false, that Fat Tone did it. Dow claims he didn't think so. In 2005, he invited Fat Tone to Las Vegas to meet Snoop Dogg. Dow is seen leaving a casino with Fat Tone and Cowboy. He claims they went their separate ways.
I don't know where they went, but he said he has some business to handle.
The bodies of Fat Tone and Cowboy found near a construction site. A car, which prosecutors argue was connected to the scene, found torched in California 2 days later. Police also pointed to Dow's link to his co-defendant Jason Mathis and a woman who was found murdered in California later that year before Dow was in custody.
You cannot point to any specific evidence that points to Mr. Dow committing the murder of Miss Larson in California, correct?
Well, I think that if I were to try him in this courtroom, I'd convict him every day of the week.
Dow was on America's Most Wanted and then arrested.
If he didn't pull the trigger, he's just as guilty as the person that did pull the trigger.
Lamont Williams, also known as Marlo Boss, is Fat Tone's cousin.
He's most definitely behind it. So, yes, most definitely. I said it 1,000 times. I said it in his face 1,000 times.
After hearing from both sides,
This is totally a travesty of justice.
Meanwhile, the official investigation into Mac Dre's murder continued, identifying potential suspects like the promoter Damon Whitmill and a man known as identified as Calbert. Damon reportedly refused to provide a DNA sample. Informants linked Damon to ordering the hit and Calbert to being one of the shooters. The stolen black Infiniti, believed to be the getaway car, was found with evidence like bullet holes and white paint matching the van. Calbert was identified as driving this car, and years later was also murdered in a similar manner. Despite these leads and informant testimonies, no one was ever formally charged or convicted for the murder of Mac Dre. While the question of who killed him remained unanswered, Mac Dre's music and legacy would only continue to grow, solidifying his status as a true pioneer of the Bay Area sound.
There's a quote, I think Nas was the original writer of this quote, but it's been sampled by Biggie and Jay-Z. They said, sometimes the rap game reminds me of the crack game.
Somehow the rap game reminds me of the crack game.
What did they mean when they said that? What do you think they meant?
Man, honestly, damn near most of the people that deal with that, not that high level rap, but that, like, from my level and a little bit higher than where I'm at, most of the people that are part of that family or that business came from that era. So you're dealing with a lot of the same attitudes, temperaments, and mentalities that came from there. So haterism, it's all there. It's the same people, but a different business. So it kind of reminds you when somebody's trying to work you on a rap deal, kind of remind you of a cat that was trying to get over on a few grams or whatever, woo-woo. You feel me? Because it's the same people, damn near, on that level, unless you're up at the top where you're only talking to executives. But you really never get away from them kind of cats, though. Because you got to always have muscle applied in any business you do. So you're going to bring some knuckleheads. There's knuckleheads and cutthroats going to be in the business regardless. So it's kind of the same. You're dealing with the same kind of people.